Guy Madison finally names the men he loved in secret. Some truths wait until after we're gone to be told. Guy Madison spent his entire life as Hollywood's golden boy, the square-jawed cowboy, the all-American hero. Wild Bill Hickok himself, women adored him, children idolized him. His face was on lunchboxes and cereal boxes, but behind that carefully crafted image was a man living in constant fear. Fear of exposure, fear of losing everything. Because Guy Madison was gay in an era when that single word could destroy a career overnight. For decades, he dated in secret. He loved in shadows. He hid who he really was from a world that would have crucified him for the truth. But now, years after his death, his memoir has finally been published. And in it, he names, not to scandalize, not to expose, but to honor the men he loved. The men who, like him, carved out happiness in a world that tried to deny them love at every turn. Guy Madison was born Robert Ozell Mosley on January 19, 1922 in Kern County, California. He was raised during the Great Depression, and his early life was grounded in small-town values. He had no aspirations of becoming an actor. After graduating from Bakersfield College, he studied animal husbandry with plans to pursue a career in agriculture. But then World War II changed everything. Madison enlisted in the United States Navy and served honorably as a Navy radio operator in the Pacific. His military service shaped much of his character. It instilled discipline, patriotism, and humility, traits that audiences would later associate with the roles he played. It was during a short leave in Hollywood in 1944 that Madison's life took a fateful turn. He was discovered by talent agent Henry Wilson, who recognized his striking appearance and believed he had the makings of a movie star. Madison's first screen appearance came that same year with a small, uncredited role in a romantic drama where he portrayed a clean-cut soldier, a casting that resonated with the wartime American public. Though he had little acting experience, Madison's debut sparked an overwhelming fan response. Hollywood quickly took notice. He was signed to a contract and groomed for stardom. Throughout the late 40s, Madison appeared in a series of films that capitalized on his all-American image. Though critics initially gave him mixed reviews due to his limited acting background, Madison's natural charisma and sincere performances gradually won over audiences. His greatest success came with his starring role as the title character in the hit television and radio series The Adventures of Wild Bill Hickok, which aired from 1951 to 1958. The show, a Western inspired by the real-life frontier marshal, solidified Madison's place as a pop culture icon. Dressed in cowboy attire with his sidekick Jingles, Madison brought Wild Bill Hickok to life with a blend of stoic heroism and approachable warmth. The series reached millions of viewers and was one of the earliest shows to be simultaneously broadcast on both television and radio. Children admired him. Adults respected him. His portrayal contributed to the golden age of Westerns in American media. His face graced lunchboxes, comic books, and even cereal boxes. He regularly appeared at rodeos and public events, always greeting fans with kindness and humility. Despite his success on television, Madison continued to act in feature films throughout the 50s and 60s. He appeared in numerous Westerns and action-adventure films. As the Western genre began to wane in popularity, Madison shifted much of his career overseas, especially to Italy, where he starred in a number of spaghetti westerns and war films during the 60s. These European productions kept his career vibrant, and he became a familiar face to international audiences. But while his public image was that of the rugged heterosexual hero, Madison's private life told a completely different story. In 1949, at the height of his Hollywood fame, Guy Madison married actress Gail Russell, a fellow star who had captivated audiences with her haunting beauty and emotionally charged performances. Their union was seen as a glamorous match in the eyes of the public. Both were young, attractive, and rapidly rising in their careers. However, behind the scenes, their relationship was fraught with emotional challenges. Russell, a deeply sensitive and introverted woman, struggled with intense social anxiety and alcoholism, a condition exacerbated by the pressures of Hollywood life. Madison, though supportive at first, found himself unable to cope with the emotional toll and instability that came with his wife's inner turmoil. They ultimately separated in 1953 after 4 years of marriage, and their divorce was finalized in October 1954. Despite the sad end to their union, Madison reportedly remained compassionate toward Russell and her personal struggles. In a dramatic turn of events, Madison remarried shortly after finalizing his divorce from Russell. In late October 1954, he wed actress Sheila Connolly in a civil ceremony held in Juarez, Mexico, a popular destination for quick marriages and divorces at the time. The couple settled into domestic life and went on to have 3 daughters. Madison reportedly took great pride in fatherhood and tried to balance his Hollywood career with time spent with his children. However, the strains of life in the entertainment industry, combined with Madison's frequent travel for film and television work, began to take a toll on their marriage. By November 1960, the couple had separated and their divorce was finalized in April 1963. Despite the dissolution of their marriage, Madison maintained a cordial relationship with Connolly and was actively involved in the lives of their daughters. These marriages served their purpose in Hollywood's golden age. They provided cover, they maintained the illusion, but they weren't where Madison's heart truly lived. If this story about Guy Madison touches your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. For decades, Guy Madison was known to the public as the square-jawed, soft-spoken star of westerns and war films. His chiseled good looks, quiet demeanor, and boy-next-door charm made him a heartthrob with legions of adoring female fans. But behind the rugged Hollywood facade and manufactured public image, Madison lived a far more complex and private reality. One shaped by the strict moral codes of the studio system and the ever-present threat of exposure in an era deeply intolerant of homosexuality. In a posthumously published memoir compiled from interviews and personal letters, Madison reveals the hidden chapters of his life, including deeply personal and heartfelt accounts of the romantic relationships he shared with several fellow actors, many of whom were also closeted and bound by the same harsh constraints. For the first time, names and faces from Hollywood's golden age are unmasked, not in scandal, but in quiet dignity. As men who loved and lived in secret, fearing professional ruin in a time when a whisper of homosexuality could end a career. Madison's reflections paint a portrait of resilience, longing, and human connection. He candidly recounts his relationship with Ramon Navarro, the silent film idol best known for his role in Ben-Hur in 1925. Ramon was gentle, spiritual, and wiser than anyone gave him credit for, Madison writes. We'd meet in quiet corners of West Hollywood or slip away to Palm Springs under the pretense of rest and relaxation. What we found there was peace. The kind of peace neither of us could claim in our public lives. He also speaks with warmth and fondness of Tyrone Power, the swashbuckling matinee idol whose bisexuality was whispered about but never confirmed during his lifetime. Madison describes Power as charismatic and conflicted, a man who carried the burden of dual expectations, studio contracts, and personal truths. We connected in the twilight of his stardom when the cameras stopped rolling and the masks came off. In those rare, quiet moments, we were just two men trying to understand what love could be when the world refused to see it. Another name Madison reveals is Anthony Perkins, the psycho star whose sexual orientation remained largely an open secret among Hollywood insiders. Their relationship, Madison notes, was fleeting but intense. Tony was young and haunted, always a little unsure of how much he could reveal, even to someone who understood the stakes, Madison recalls. We shared a few passionate months, tangled in both excitement and anxiety. He always seemed to be looking over his shoulder, and for good reason. Perhaps most poignantly, Madison recounts his bond with Rock Hudson, whose 1985 AIDS-related death marked a seismic shift in public discourse about homosexuality in Hollywood. Madison describes the relationship as equal parts joy and sorrow. Rock had the smile of a golden boy and the soul of a man who had to break himself into pieces to survive. Our time together was stolen. Just weekends in Big Bear or quiet dinners in his canyon hideaway, but even stolen moments can be timeless. Throughout his writings, Madison is careful not to sensationalize. His tone is reflective, reverent, and filled with a compassion born of shared experience. These weren't just names or trysts, he writes. They were meaningful connections in a world that often denied their very possibility. We didn't date in the way people think of dating now. It was furtive, coded, cautious. But it was real. We laughed. We held each other. We watched the sunrise and talked about the lives we wished we could have lived out in the open. The memoir, aside from its revelatory nature, also sheds light on the toll that secrecy and fear took on the emotional well-being of gay men in mid-century Hollywood. Madison discusses the anxiety of studio contracts with morality clauses, the ever-present threat of tabloid exposure, the psychological weight of constantly hiding one's identity. There were times I thought I might go mad from pretending, he confesses. Every interview, every photo op with a female co-star, it was all an act. But the real performance was never on screen, it was in daily life. Yet Madison doesn't dwell solely in the shadows. He also celebrates the quiet triumphs, the coded love letters, the furtive glances across sound stages, the comfort of a hand held under a restaurant table. We carved out happiness where we could, he writes. In a world that tried to deny us love, we found it anyway. As time went on, Madison gradually stepped back from the spotlight. He retired from acting in the late 70s, but remained a cherished figure at classic film festivals and Western conventions, where fans of all ages would gather to celebrate the legacy of Wild Bill Hickok and the golden era of Westerns. In 1996, Madison was awarded a Golden Boot Award for his contributions to Western films and television, an acknowledgement of his enduring impact on the genre. Following his retirement, Guy Madison chose to settle in the quiet and picturesque Morongo Valley, located in Southern California's high desert, known for its scenic beauty, panoramic mountain views, and peaceful atmosphere. There he built an expansive ranch-style home that reflected his love of the outdoors and his desire for privacy and tranquility in his later years. The property served not only as his residence, but also as a place where he could enjoy the natural surroundings, entertain close friends, and engage in leisure activities like horseback riding and gardening. As time went on, however, Madison's health began to decline. He suffered from emphysema, a chronic and progressive lung condition often associated with smoking, which severely limited his mobility and respiratory capacity in his final years. Despite the illness, he reportedly remained as active as his condition allowed, receiving visits from friends and remaining in contact with many former colleagues and admirers. Guy Madison passed away on February 6, 1996, at the age of 74. He died at a hospice facility in Palm Springs, California, a place known for providing compassionate end-of-life care. His death marked the end of an era for fans who had grown up watching him on screen during the golden age of Hollywood westerns, particularly in his iconic role as Wild Bill Hickok. Madison was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Cathedral City, California, a peaceful and beautifully landscaped cemetery that is the final resting place for many of Hollywood's notable figures. The funeral service was a modest but heartfelt affair, attended by close friends, family members, and former colleagues. Among those who paid tribute was a close personal friend who spoke at the funeral, offering words that reflected on Madison's career accomplishments, his character, and the enduring friendships he had formed throughout his life. His words honored Madison not just as a public figure and beloved actor, but as a loyal friend and a humble man who had lived with integrity, grace, and quiet dignity. Guy Madison's decision to tell his truth, even posthumously, casts new light on the stories of many actors whose names remain buried in coded biographies and sanitized studio histories. His memoir not only reclaims his personal truth, but contributes to the broader effort to honor the lives of LGBTQ individuals who shaped and were shaped by Hollywood's golden age. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's hidden history. Share this with someone who needs to understand that love has always existed, even when the world tried to deny it. Because Guy Madison and the men he loved weren't living scandalous lives, they were living human lives. And they deserve to be seen, to be remembered, to be honored, not as secrets or whispers, but as men who found love in a world that punished them for it. And maybe, just maybe, by telling their stories now, we can honor the courage it took to love when loving meant risking everything.